Hello and welcome to On The Slab Horror Show, the show that we bring to you each and every Friday night. Why Friday night? Because Friday night's horror night. It is exclusive on the Dynamo Podcast Network on YouTube. So head on over there, hit the like, subscribe, and the bell notifications. And tonight we bring to you a very special episode. But first, the introductions. We have Carl King Whoa, my co-host.
How are we doing, brother?
How are you, sir?
Great, absolutely great. Wearing my new Halloween t-shirt after Halloween, of course. Typical.
Have you taken that off yet?
No, it's the other one. It's the American Werewolf in London I had on for nearly 2 weeks.
And then, as you can see below, well, I don't know where you can see it on my screen. He's below on my screen. We have the special effects master craftsman, Mr. Nick Benson. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Yeah,
it's been a while in the process to get this one done.
Definitely.
Yeah. So we bring you on. We'll have an old chat and see. You know, being a horror guy, kind of like myself and Carl.
I think he's a bit more qualified now than us, in fairness.
Just a small bit. So, like, how are you? How's the leg? How's everything getting on?
It's good. It's good. I'm healing. I should be actually later this afternoon here. I should be getting one of those knee scooters. It's for me to get around on. So I'm
awesome.
I'm up a little more out of the chair than I have been. I've been in a wheelchair for 3 months. So.
Yeah, no, that's not advisable.
No.
Those little knee scooters are hilarious, isn't they? They're ghastly.
They're great. There's a couple of people that you see them around with.
Yeah, get me in and out of the pubs faster, right?
Exactly.
Well, at least you are allowed to go to the bar. We're not. We have to sit there and wait for the waitress to come around.
Yeah,
proper. That's the way it should be. Yeah.
I like going up and asking for my pint of Guinness now. So, like as we said, special effects mastermind. I'll jump right in here, Nick. How did you get into that game?
Well, it's I guess by accident, really.
It's a good accident.
Yeah, it was a good accident. It wasn't really always out of my mind. It wasn't something that I didn't think of doing. But at the time that I kind of fell into it, I was a musician. So it was an interesting way that I got into it. I was playing a lot of gigs and we were doing a lot of very theatrical things. I wound up roommates with, of all people, Steve Johnson. And
nice.
Some of the things I was doing with my band and things I was talking to him about doing with my band. He one day invited me to come make Rubber Monsters, and the rest is history.
That's class. What instrument do you play, Nick?
What's that? Oh, I played guitar and bass and drums, and since I was, I think, probably 11.
Nice.
Carl himself there has a band.
I have several bands, unfortunately.
Several bands.
Very cold.
Yeah. What kind of stuff do you like, Nick? Just out of interest?
Lots of different types of music. I like everything from old punk to classical to I like a lot of different stuff.
Deadly. Best way to be.
Yeah.
I'm not really into music too much.
Imagine that, an Irish person not into music. That's just the weirdest thing.
Yeah. I do like the drinking bit though.
There you go.
We'll go with that. It's not a game that you hear sort of a lot of people going into or coming out of, but it's especially a very challenging role to be in for movies, I'd say.
Definitely.
Like everything would have to be perfect.
Yes and no. There's a lot. You learn a lot that you can get away with camera. Everything from camera exposures to the way you're shooting it. But you have to know those things going in, and you don't really learn those until you start making films. So, as they say, practice makes perfect.
Absolutely. And Nick, would you be of the old school opinion, like of the practical effects is king, or do you mind a bit of kind of more modern techniques? Or
well, I'll tell you what, I'm actually producing a film now that we're in pre-production on, and we're using a mixture of both.
Okay.
I do believe that practical, for the most part, is a lot more organic. and you cannot get that out of a computer. A computer is math routines, and you can kind of see the mechanics behind it if you look at it for too long. So in my opinion, the CG part of it is really a tool to add to it, not necessarily to replace it. So I think that there's a fair mix there that can be, a balance that has to be followed.
I'm not a great fan of CG myself now. I prefer the proper old school.
Well, you'll like where we're headed with this film.
Yeah, is this the one that you sent me?
Is it Campfire?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I can't wait for that now.
Nice one.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Everybody involved, all the cast members that we've recruited so far, I've really enjoyed the script. The kills, I can't tell you too much without giving it away, but I will tell you the kills will not disappoint.
I'll hold you to that one.
Yeah, you'll have to come back on. We'll have to give out to you about the kills, good or bad.
Yeah, they won't disappoint. They're pretty gnarly.
Awesome. Do you I mean I'm an old I love old school horrors, and there's only really like the lads are sick of hearing me giving out about modern horror. And what I mean by that is the usual tropes, like the kids go to this blah blah blah, it's always the same stuff. But there's a lot of new stuff that's after coming out in the last, say, 5 years, 10 years. I don't know if you've ever seen Hereditary. Have you ever seen Hereditary?
No, I sure haven't.
Right, okay, that's something that we'd be looking into. But I know, yeah. But I don't know, just it's great to hear. It's refreshing to hear that you're kind of going back to an old school kind of feel for your film.
I'll be honest, that was really inspired by lots of fans being at conventions, talking to fans about modern horror versus old horror and what they feel that they're missing. And what they feel that, like it seems to me that I get a lot of feedback like, well, this movie was really cool because the kills were great, but there's no story and I don't really care about anybody. It's just for shock value. It's like they don't really give a shit about the characters. They know they're going to die or whatever. It seems a little lackluster. More modern horror seems more disconnected.
Yeah,
it just seems to be a lot more.
The fans aren't connecting with the film or the characters or the story anymore. Where you look back historically speaking, and a lot of that older horror, you find yourself connecting with the character or whatever, and getting yourself more enveloped in the story.
Yeah.
So that's what we hope to do with this one. And these are, Campfire is, it's an anthology of classic tales that you've heard around a campfire.
Cool.
So it's all those stories that, those ghost stories you've told as a kid or you've heard as a kid. Only these become very real for these people, and it gets pretty gnarly.
I see the difference there is your campfires and air camping might be completely different. No, but like going back to some of the old skills, I was having a look through your IMDb page. How was it to work with what I believe is arguably the greatest horror character ever in Freddy Krueger on Nightmare on Elm Street?
Well, that's nice.
Number 4, wasn't it?
Yeah, Nightmare 4.
Yeah,
that's nice to hear, because that of I'd say probably all of the films I worked on there, I have the longest lasting bond and friendships with all of those people.
Yeah, it's actually
as a matter of fact.
Sorry, go ahead.
As a matter of fact, Mick Strawn, who was the production designer on Nightmare 4, is production designing our film.
Excellent.
Yeah, you were saying that to me.
He's also helping me with a lot of the mechanical effects and things like that, and he's helping me produce it. But John Lohman is a writer producer on it, and but Nightmare, I've developed friendships with like everybody. I'm friends with Lisa Wilcox, Brooke Thies, Toy Newkirk.
Nice.
It's just such a tight. It's almost like a family, when we did that film, and everybody really liked each other. Everybody was putting their best effort into making that film. So everybody's really friendly. And I find even people that weren't in Nightmare 4 that that are Nightmare franchise associated. We have Ira Hayden in our film, and he was in 3. And Ira's just, I mean, all the people involved in that franchise are such nice people. It's really pleasant to be around them, and we all tend to like hang out together. So
can I come?
That I'll say is probably, the greatest thing about that film was the bonds and the camaraderie that was formed making those films.
Yeah, that's awesome that like you say, that lasting bond has stayed there, so much so that it's, moving into your own project now. That's fantastic to hear, Nick. It really is.
Like I've said it on previous episodes. The very first horror movie I can remember watching was Nightmare on Elm Street 1. And I fell in love with horror. And like at that stage they were all out. So I was able to go, I'll watch them all now. Like I have Freddy Krueger tattooed on my arm here.
Nice.
Yeah.
He's the one I don't have tattooed.
Yeah.
Robert would be proud.
Yeah, I actually met Robert Englund in a airport in London, and I absolutely fanned out. I was like, I'm not even going over. Yeah. So yeah, no, it's like that's one of the biggest horror franchises. That's one of the big 5 really, and that you've had the opportunity to work on, which is phenomenal.
Yeah, 2 death sequences in that one I worked on.
Nice.
You worked on the 2.
I worked on Freddy's death at the end, and
nice.
And Brooke Thesis' cockroach transformation.
Oh, nice.
That one was extremely fun to watch. Probably not fun to make, mind you, but
yeah. That bit was quite messy, but it was definitely fun.
You don't want a bit of mess now and again,
I couldn't seem to keep them. If you look at my career, I can't seem to stay away from messy films for whatever reason.
Yeah.
This being one of them.
But I'd say a lot of special effects people are probably in the same boat, are they?
Yeah. How do we make a bigger mess? That's what we always try to
add more blood.
Yeah, that's right.
Always.
I think the new Evil Dead is taken from that. Something like 6,000 liters of blood they're after putting into the new movie. I'm like, oh, why?
Wow.
So like I have a couple of questions here. Like you've kind of answered that one, but what are some of the favorite horror movies that you worked on? Obviously, you've just said Nightmare was.
Nightmare for the relationships. Blob was really fun because it was an interesting position that I had on that film. I wasn't part of the creature shop. I tried to get into the creature shop, but they were full up and they had positions for me on set. So I wound up going on set working for their effects coordinator, and I actually ran between stages, not only helping them figure shots out and miniatures out and sets and things like that, but how we would implement them, and then I would also puppeteer. So
yeah, I seen that you were a puppeteer on it, and I was like, wow.
Yeah,
like that. It's such a fun movie to watch.
Yeah, really.
Like when I was growing up, I used to always mix that one and The Thing up, because I seen both of them when I was about 10, maybe. And I was like, which one is that? Obviously, 2 very different movies now, mind you, but
yeah, very much so.
But yeah, it's so fun to watch. I actually have a special edition copy of it there that I bought when I used to work in a video shop. It came in, and I was like, yeah, I'm buying it. It's not even getting out. Yeah.
And then probably the other one for me would be Society. Just because we had so much creative freedom on that film.
How crazy was that film set, actually?
Absolutely bananas.
I can imagine.
It's such a weird
bunch of naked, slimy people running around. It's pretty weird.
I mean, well, it's such a strangely good movie to watch. Like if you made that now, there's going to be far too much CGI and far too much computerized thing in it, and it just wouldn't look nearly as good.
And Brian Usna is, between him and Stuart Gordon, there was a lot of genius that came out of those 2 guys. And I was very happy to work with them. And Brian gave us so much creative freedom, really gave George the run of the show, and I was a surrealist working with George at the time. And, we just ran with it.
Awesome. That's great when you get to do stuff like that you really enjoy. If you're given a little bit of freedom or working with certain people, I say it makes it all worthwhile, doesn't it?
Yeah, the original script for Society was more leaning towards a blood cult, like a blood cult vampire kind of theme.
Mm.
Family were eating, like literally eating people, and he came in and met with the Screaming Mad George, crew, really George, but came in and met with us, and by the end of the conversation, George had this mask that he had created for Halloween that was like a hand coming out of his mouth and pulling on his face. He showed him that and said, well, why don't we go a little bit different with this? And started talking about surrealism, showing him Dali paintings and some of George's a brilliant painter as well, has some incredible surrealistic work.
Yeah.
Showed Brian some of that stuff, and Brian was like, okay, we need to rewrite this. This has got to be done this way. So that's why it got so really weird. They changed the script to fit the art.
A change for the better.
Yeah.
Just gonna say, yeah. Absolutely.
So different. It was just so different than what everybody was doing,
And that works because people won't ever forget it. Then that's the thing.
Like I said it to Carl there just before he came on. I was listening out a couple of the movies, and he's decided, oh yeah, that one, the one where they're eating people.
Yeah. What a weird fellow.
There's certain parts of movies you'll always remember.
Oh yeah, that one's pretty unforgettable, especially at the end.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like I know it's not theoretically horror, but you got to work with James Cameron on The Abyss as well.
Yeah. Well, that was under Steve Johnson as well, and that was through the Creature Shop. We did there was a big crew on that.
It's a big old scene though when they come up.
Yeah.
I can't imagine the work that went into that.
That was a rigorous, really, really tough movie to work on because we would do so many things. I think we had 2 500-gallon tanks in the shop that we would build an entire creature and test it, and we were having trouble with materials turning yellow.
Oh.
They would be fine outside the tank, but then you put them in the tank and they turn yellow or turn colors.
I'm trying to think there. They weren't yellow, were they? They were see-through.
Yeah, well, they were, but that's the thing is as soon as they touch water, that material turns yellow, and then you can't, you pull it out of the water and it's yellow. So it was almost like a chemical reaction. So we were having problems getting them to stay clear underwater. So it was I had almost a year of developing that and figuring out what materials to use and getting those things perfected. And I remember there's actually, I think, a video of Steve on YouTube somewhere of him literally throwing that creature on the ground because he was just so tired of working on it and tired of Cameron's bullshit. And
Of course.
I was gonna say, what's it like working on a set with him? I've read he's notoriously hard to work for.
He's really hardcore. He knows what he wants. He's done effects. He much like, I can't compare myself to James Cameron, but
you can.
Much like him, I'm now in a producer position. But he started out an effects guy for Roger Corman.
Wow.
Built sets, did effects for Roger Corman, and he's done so much over the years that he knows what the camera can get away with. He knows what can be done, what can't be done. And when he has a vision, he just doesn't stop until he gets it. So he's really hard on his crews because he'll keep going until he gets what he wants. So he pushes people really hard.
Nick, Greg, would knowing what we were talking about earlier on about CGI and all that, would that have been a film that could have benefited more, considering the kind of problems you ran into there?
As far as Abyss goes?
Yeah.
I got to say that I don't know. I know CG at that time, CG wasn't there yet.
Yeah.
CG was not there yet. And aside from that, even though CG's there today, I still go back and I can look at that film and think about Steve Johnson is a genius when it comes to fabricating and coming up with he instantly comes up with ideas on, okay, we can do this.
Yeah.
And he'll break it down so quickly. And that it was nice to have a teacher like that, because you had to think quickly, and you had to really work on your feet. So it was good for me to learn in that environment, because it's taught me a lot as far as thinking quickly and thinking of quick solutions. One of the first things he had me do was on Night of the Demons, if you remember, where Linnea is having sex with the guy in the bathroom, she pushes his eyeballs out.
Oh yeah.
Every time.
We were testing this head. It was dumb. I was playing with the dummy head, and we were trying to figure out what to use for eyeballs. And I was eating these really large grapes for lunch, so I stuck those in there, and I was like, "What about these?"
Brilliant.
Perfect.
And we pushed on them, and they squirt, and they really squirted well. So he was like, "That's fucking brilliant. Let's do it." So
there goes your lunch.
Yeah, that's what we wound up using in the shot. If you really slow that shot down, you'll see the grape seeds shooting out sideways.
Oh, I'll have to look at that.
Every time you think of that, and it go back to the eyes, and you're like,
it's disgusting. It's a great shot. I love it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's just stuff like that. I mean, Steve is a genius, and you have to think on your feet like really fast. And he was born to do this stuff, man. He can think so quickly on how to break down an entire shot or sequence, and he's very good. So it was nice to work with him, but that's that was the creature shop side of that. And at that time on Abyss, nobody was really doing that either, and Steve really, like, as hard as we got pushed to get that done and do the things that were done on that film, it was, like I said, it was a huge crew, but boy, we really, I still look at that film today, and there's some really pretty stuff in it.
It's still perfect. I only watched it there not so long ago.
I have to say, as a collective, you did an amazing job. Well done, like, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a little secret. So that's another film that I kind of ran back and forth between Screaming Mad George's shop and Steve's shop. On the ship that comes out at the end of that film, I don't have the picture of it, but so the ship is coming up out of the water, right? And you have those big spires that stick up out of the top of the ship.
Yeah.
The very back side of the back one, George personalized it. So it's like this big sculpture he did, but on the back side of it, it's all skulls and stuff that spire to the top.
Deadly.
Can you notice it in the movie?
Yeah, you can't see it in the movie.
Oh. So was it just for you guys?
There is picture. I've seen pictures recently on the internet where someone had found the photos of that.
Oh wow!
And yeah, so that it's pretty fun. I'll see if I can locate them and send them. It's
awesome.
It's amazing when you look at, like, even that ship scene coming up alone. Like, obviously, I'd say the alien himself was based off maybe jellyfish and something else.
Yeah.
Because of the way the makeup is, but like watching that coming up out of the sea, you're like, what? Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty wild.
Yeah. It's like that movie was made, well, I don't know how it was built up, but like when I first watched that, I hadn't a clue what it was. I thought it was like a shark or something that was attacking them.
Yeah.
And it was just a big curveball.
At that time, that was like the time when like 3 or 4 ocean movies were being made. Everybody was making movies in the ocean. You had Leviathan, you had Deep Star 6, you had Abyss, and I think there was another couple that were being made at the same time. Everybody was doing water movies.
Was it the one Deep Rising?
Deep Rising? I think that's later. I think that's in the 90s.
Oh yeah, sure. The Abyss was 89, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that movie. I probably watch that at least once a year. It's such a fun. It's not even a fun movie to watch. It's fairly intense.
Yeah, it is. It's really intense.
That's what makes it fun.
Yeah. Oh, another thing that we did was we had a miniature that when Michael Biehn gets killed, he's in that little sub.
Yeah.
Another thing that George's crew did and I worked on was killing Michael Biehn.
Nice.
Yeah. with the pressure.
Yeah.
Good way of taking out the Terminator.
It was probably this big, this little submarine with the little dude and little Michael in it.
Deadly.
It's a hell of a way of taking out the Terminator.
Yeah.
It's your version of Inner Space, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. I'm trying to think of what year it was. I ran into Michael Biehn at a convention, and I hadn't seen him since we worked on Abyss, and it was fun to talk to him about that again and
Brilliant.
say, hey, sorry I killed you, man.
I was only doing what I was told, I swear.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to kill Coffee.
Sure. It is what it is. Yeah. When you gotta go, you gotta go.
Nick, tell us how interesting it was working on the Blob, actually, since you got the t-shirt on. How, like, that again, it probably was another mad set, was it?
Yeah, it really was. I think we took up 6 stages.
Wow.
6 different stages. And it was a big production. Really, really good budget. It was a big production. We had a lot of crew. I want to say we had probably over 150 what we call Blob Wranglers. And what the Blob Wranglers did was we made these things that are literally like quilts, like you think on your bed, the quilt like on your bed.
Yeah.
It was literally silk quilts that were airbrushed, sort of pinks and purples and veins and shit like that. And the Blob Wranglers would literally take all of the quilts that we had already shot with, because all the stuff had oozed out of them, and refill them with goo. So they're refilling their like syringes and putting all this, this methylcellulose into these little pockets, make them full again so that we could reshoot again. And that's all they did, was just keep filling them up, getting them ready to shoot again. We'd recycle those all the time.
Blob Wrangler. What a great name for a job.
What do you do in life? I'm a Blob Wrangler.
That's right.
I mean, it's a way of starting, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And depending on the shot, like we would use anywhere from 4 to 7 quilts at a time that, would create the blob in the environment that we were putting him in. So
it's pretty big. I wouldn't like to try and refill it now.
It was a lot of slime.
Yeah. What happened? Yeah. Every piece of clothes you owned is long gone.
Yeah.
I'm sure that kind of stuff doesn't bother you, Nick, though. Slime, blood, guts.
No. Why would it? When you do it for a living, it's
now I don't have to do it. I get somebody else to do
exactly. It. That's the you put the groundwork in,
Right.
That's another question. That's another question I have for you there. I knew you were a special effects mastermind. You've moved on to producing now. Would you ever like to get into directing movies?
Yes. I'm actually working on that too.
Me and Carl are available.
So CAMPFIRE, I can give you a little bit of a sneak peek, is we have 2 series designed to spin off of the film.
Nice.
Oh, yes.
2 separate series. So it's going to go 2 different directions. One will be CAMPFIRE, the series, and one will be called Roar. And Roar is one of the stories within CAMPFIRE that is about a creature.
Cool. Nice.
So those 2 are going to be happening. I'll probably be directing quite a few episodes of those. At least that's the plan. And as will my partner, John. We're looking for other directors to come in and work with us as well, in hopes to really make it a diverse series where we have different directors that work with the same, we all do a round table and the same vision to keep the stories
fresh.
Fresh and along the same lines as we're trying to keep the story going in. In addition to that, I've got about 5 other scripts that are sitting waiting for other things to happen with. Once I get those, there's 2 of those that I'd like to direct.
Nice.
So we'll see what happens.
Well, as soon as that happens, forward it over. We'll go and see it. Has to be done.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
You've also worked on Tremors, yeah?
Yeah.
Wow, man, you've got some resume. You really do.
We actually
I worked with ADI.
Episode.
I worked for ADI, Alec Gillis and Tom Woodruff. 2 very fun bosses. Those guys are pretty amazing, and it was very surreal for me to work for them.
Yeah.
Only because they had done so much for Stan Winston, for so long, and I had really admired them from afar, and then to have me come in and do all of the fiberglass work on the big 1-to-1 worms was pretty cool.
One of them has made it into it's in the movie Hall of Fame, isn't it?
Yes.
The worm, yeah.
Yes.
We actually
I have one of the mouth tentacles in my museum here in Las Vegas.
Nice. Actually, one of our other co-host Ian, who isn't here tonight, me and him actually covered Tremors a while back. It's so fun to go back and watch. And like I've even followed the series all the way to. I haven't seen the newest one yet.
Yeah.
That it's still going.
Terrible.
Yeah, but the first film it's a fun film, isn't it? It really is.
Well, it out of the gate was great just because it was, and I wasn't like, for me at the time we made it, I wasn't really that into it because it had comedy and it was, it was kind of funny, and I'm like, it's just. But as after I saw it a few times and over the years, it's really grown on me that they don't really make films like that anymore. That's a true monster movie.
Yeah.
To the core, that is a fucking monster movie.
Absolutely.
You have a big monster and it's going to eat everybody.
Yeah.
That's actually a point that me and Ian made in that thing. Like, they don't make movies like that anymore.
No.
Or it's very rare that they do.
Yeah.
Which is kind of sad because I'm a big old fan of creature feature movies.
Well, I'm trying to change that. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. I love an old creature feature movie now, must say.
I miss having monsters around, so it's time that they need to be brought back. So.
Yeah,
absolutely. Not everything revolves around Godzilla, huh?
Yeah, Godzilla's not the only monster around, and
exactly.
And I'm getting a little bored of psychopaths. So
yeah,
I'm getting kind of bored of sharks now as well.
Yeah.
I think we need a good old Cthulhu film. A really good one.
There you go.
Yeah.
Now you're sucking Diesel.
some Lovecraft stuff. Yeah.
Yes, please.
That's good stuff.
Yeah. So, like, what would your favorite horror movies be?
It's hard to pick a favorite because I have loved horror since I was 7 years old, and I grew up with my mother being an executive at Universal, so I was immersed in
that's so nice.
Monsters from being a kid,
Nice.
So I had a lot of exposure to that early on, and so much of it. I mean, even behind me, like, that's a film I love, Metropolis.
I love it.
But I've only seen it once. Like, I don't think I can even really remember it.
There's so much history, like Cabinet of Dr. Caligari and Nosferatu, and all of that stuff. Just it's all inspiring in different ways.
It's amazing to think what they were able to get out of the creatively back so far long ago. I love the amount of atmosphere and just the way they did things. It was just brilliant.
Absolutely.
I always like Nosferatu is my favorite vampire movie. It's one of my favorite films.
Yeah.
But I still don't think. I think like that's the way a vampire should be. Is kind of like a
fucking scary. Yeah.
Not this fucking romantic thing. You know what I mean?
Not oh, come kiss me. I need to marry someone. Yeah, that's not a vampire to me. A vampire fucking wants to eat your face.
Yeah.
Me and Carl done one on vampires, and we both had 30 Days a Night well up there.
Yeah.
Like, that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
One that they they did a really good job of bringing the Orlok style vampire back was Salem's Lot.
Yes.
That was a phenomenal film.
Absolutely.
Very underrated. I found a lot of the Stephen King books that were made into movies around that time weren't given much of a chance.
No.
Like the same way we were only talking about it on last week's episode. It was the same with like It and things like that. It was low budgeted and not really given much of a chance.
Right.
So therefore it kind of falls away.
Anything on your only people on you ever remember Tim Curry's performances and that?
Yeah.
It's really the best thing about it, in my opinion. Like, you know.
No. But I'm saying, like, in general, for the likes of Salem's Lot and all, they all just kind of fell by the wayside because no one wanted to throw big money at it.
Yeah, no, I see. I know what you're saying. They were given very limited budget for the stories they were, but they honestly, in today's world, those stories would be still phenomenal to do with a good budget. You know, those stories are fantastic.
Yeah.
That-
Oh, absolutely.
There's your first big project.
Yeah.
Redo Salem's Lot.
Yeah, get Steven. I got to get Steven's permission.
Yeah. Get him on the phone.
Yeah. A couple of lads we've done a podcast with said I should do this. Can I do it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's do it. I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions here, just out of like, do you prefer this or this? Just for a bit of fun, you know.
Okay.
What is your favorite between American Werewolf in London or The Howling?
Howling, but I'm biased.
Well, I know that, but I didn't want to bring that up, you know. Tell me you don't think that the Howling transformation scene is better than the American Werewolf one.
You know, I can't. I don't know. They're just so different.
Yeah.
American Werewolf was definitely a milestone, but I still do like the Howling better.
Carl
There you
has
go,
left
Greg.
the chat.
Yeah. Me and Greg are always going at loggerheads about that, you know.
Well,
Yeah.
to be fair, Nick, my favorite werewolf film is Dog Soldiers. So there isn't even a transformation scene in that. So
That's true.
Right.
Have you seen that then, Nick? Have you?
I sure haven't.
you haven't seen Dog Soldiers, have you not?
We'll have to send you a link or something. To that one.
Neil Marshall directed it. It's,
Okay. Yeah.
he done that before he done The Descent.
Okay.
Uh,
Cool.
it's a quality one.
We'll try and send you over a link to it because it's really good. It's really good.
I heard another good werewolf film is Ginger Snaps.
Yeah, it's a good
Yeah,
movie.
it's not bad.
Fun
Yeah.
movie.
I never was that interested in it because it didn't seem like it would be all that great. But I've had a lot of people tell me it really is.
It is.
It's fun. It's
in the way we like fun. Yeah. So yeah.
That means good. Yeah.
Who and here's another one of those questions. Rick Baker or Tom Savini?
Oh, good God.
I told you to be a couple of hard
Now
ones.
you're asking me to make enemies of people that I know.
Okay, well, pretend you don't know them.
I can't pick a favorite there because they're good for different reasons. They're both good for different reasons and different things. Rick is very much a perfectionist. Rick is very, very good at what he does. Tom is a genius in the respect that if you need him to do something absolutely horrifying and bloody and fast, there is nobody else.
Yeah.
And Tom's genius. I mean, the guy he should be directing a whole lot of stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think I've read somewhere that he doesn't really want to. He just likes doing what he's doing, and
yeah.
I mean, you got to give it to him if he doesn't want to do something and he's made his name doing what he's doing. He might as well go to the well as much as he needs to do it.
Yeah.
Well, I'll throw another effects artist in the hat that was really more of an inspiration to me than even Rick Baker was, and that's Rob Boutin.
Oh yeah.
Rob Boutin, in my opinion, is probably the best effects artist that's ever lived.
Yeah, he was good.
Yeah, because his work still holds up today. You watch Legend or you watch
Legend's quality.
God, you watch that. The thing that still blows me away today, and people don't even believe me when I tell them this sometimes because CG is so prominent now. Is that what was the God damn it? What's the movie with Schwarzenegger on Mars?
Total Recall.
Total Recall. Yeah. So where he's disguised as a fat lady and he goes through the airport and then he flips out and the head splits apart.
Yeah.
That whole thing was practical. That was Rob Boutin.
Wow.
Entire rig. That was not CG. That was practical.
There's your mic drop, Carl.
Yeah, that is definitely a mic drop.
Wow. I thought you were going to come out and say it was when it was the three-titted lady.
Yeah, no,
that was all real.
That was practical. But that head splitting apart. I mean, there were arguments over whether that was CG or not, and now it was practical.
That's crazy. Like I full on just expect that to be CG.
Yeah, no, it was.
It doesn't look like there's a way of doing that without some kind of computer.
I'll tell you what, I've been doing effects for as long as I have, and I still haven't figured out how the fuck he did that.
He's not going to tell you that either.
It's awesome. That's awesome. That really is awesome.
Yeah. Wow. You got any more there, Carl?
No, I'm not going to ask him anymore because it seems like I'm being a meanie. I'm not. I was only trying to have fun, you know what I mean? But, okay, I'll do one more. And I'm not going to say Freddy because you're biased with Freddy as well. So how about Jason or Michael Myers?
Jason.
Wow. Okay.
Oh well, you're outnumbered here today.
No, you know, I really, honestly, I'll be honest with you guys. I have been a fan of Halloween since I was 7 or 8 years old. I saw Halloween as a very young boy. It scared the fuck out of me.
Oh yeah.
And that movie, I mean, every year I had to watch it because they used to air it every year on Halloween.
Yeah.
I love the 78 Halloween. But like the newer one, the 2018 one was all right. Had my issues with it, but the one they just released, there was so much wrong with it.
Really?
That was such a disappointment in my opinion.
And then you wouldn't like the episode that we did a few weeks ago because we loved it.
I'm glad, man. I'm glad. The effects were stellar. I know that. I know the effects were stellar. The kills were great.
Kills were great.
There's just so many continuity problems in that film and so many things that were wrong. You know, I mean, come on. How many times can they kill this motherfucker? And now they're going to beat him to death? Let's get real. Come on. That's not going to happen.
I suppose you could argue that same point with Jason as well.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's been done to death, but you know.
Well, the only thing I would say is it's like, you know, he was always meant to be a man, you know, kind of thing, as in flesh and bone. Now it's like they're making him supernatural now, you know, they've gotten to that stage.
Well, I mean, let's face it. I mean, he got shot how many times in the first film, went over the balcony and supposed to be dead, and then he's gone.
He's gone, yeah.
He's not human.
Yeah.
Or he doesn't know he's human, one or the other.
Exactly.
Yeah. No,
I do like Michael Myers a lot, but the last couple of films have kind of killed his character for me. So.
Yeah.
I see. I've actually gone the exact opposite. I used to rate him the lowest of the 5 big ones.
Yeah.
Because I was always sick of the slow nature. Like that's why I'd always rate Freddy the highest, because I always say he changed the slasher game.
Yeah.
Being coming in and changing the way he done it.
Freddy wasn't technically a slasher, though. I mean, he was somebody that came in your dreams and knew that he could. If you died in your dreams, you were dead. He's an entity. He can do anything. He is immortal.
He is actually.
Unless you take him out of the dream, in which case you can kill him.
Right.
And then he comes back and then he comes back in the next one.
Right.
But yeah, no, he was always the one.
Dog piss, mind you.
Which?
With flaming dog piss.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no, I'd always rate him the highest. But having watched sort of the newer Halloweens and fallen back into the franchise, I'd put that now a second behind Nightmare for me. But yeah, it's I've enjoyed them. Jason is probably at the bottom for me. It's the same story over and over again. Oh yeah, just slightly 100%. Different. Now, don't get me wrong, the stories work. They're grand to watch. You know what I mean? That's why the first Friday the 13th was so good. Everyone's
they should just call it "Don't fuck in my woods."
Yeah, get the hell out of my campsite. No,
Nick, I mean, we're just looking again at your accomplishments. I see you worked with Slipknot on one of their videos. Wow, on Nero Forte, yeah.
Yeah, that was a reuniting of myself and Steve Johnson. Steve Johnson had done a whole bunch of work in Los Angeles with a small crew there with Slipknot, trying to figure out what they were going to do with the video and the effects portion of it.
Yeah.
And then Steve called me up and said, "Hey, I'm doing this video for Slipknot, and I'm going to be coming and shooting it in Vegas, which is where I live." So, it was interesting after, almost 40 years of not working together.
Yeah.
That we came back together and worked on that together.
And it was a fun time.
Yeah, it was really great. We had a really, really wonderful crew. Steve was funny. Steve was always Steve. Steve was neurotic and smoking and freaking out. And there's a couple times I had to take him aside and go, "You're Steve fucking Johnson. What are you worried about? Stop."
I mean, that works. It levels people out.
You're his little voice of reason on his shoulder, you know. Hey, you're Steve. Steve, come on, cop out of it.
Yeah,
he's got the bad Steve on this one, and then he's got Nick here on the other one going.
Yeah,
fine.
Well, the fact is, even it doesn't matter how many times we do this stuff. I have to admit, even myself, I second guess myself a lot too. Us as artists, we always do that. I think any good artist, really, I think, always questions their art. If you come in too cocky, you're going to deliver something substandard.
Yeah.
Is there anything of the main movies that we've gone through that you'd changed, that you'd done?
Well, if I had the tools that are available today, certainly.
Like now, would you change any of the designs that were made? Say, if we were back in that time, would you change the designs?
No.
No.
I think everything. I've been very lucky. I've worked on a lot of really, really great kind of like. I'm not trying to brag. It's going to sound kind of like I'm bragging, but I've just been lucky. I was lucky to work on film in an era when there was so many good films to work on.
Yeah.
So I got very lucky in all the films I was able to get onto, and there was more I wanted to be involved in that I didn't get on. But I was very lucky at that time to be working in effects at that time. So for me, it was just being in the right place at the right time in the right years. And it was still a relatively small group of people that were doing those effects. So like I say, I'm just a very lucky guy. I happened to fall into it, and
I wouldn't say luck. Maybe luck to get into the first one. It becomes skill after that.
Yeah,
you can't. You can get lucky once or twice. You can't get lucky all the time.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's very true. But
you have a great legacy. You have a great legacy there, though. In fairness, and
I appreciate that, guys. I really do. I try to stay humble. I don't like. I think everybody should take the chance and do stuff that they want to do. If it's your passion, you got to do it.
Absolutely.
Always follow your passions.
Yes.
So, here we go. I think we'll let you get some rest, Mr. Benson.
Well, it's only 4 over there.
What, are you getting tired on me? What's the matter with you?
No, I want you to go off and drink whiskey now. That's what I need to do.
Oh, okay.
No, we don't want to take up too much of your time. We appreciate you coming on.
Well, thank you for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
It's been an awesome chat, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and maybe some other day when you're not quite as busy, you might come back on.
Yeah, for sure. Let's definitely do that. And and one of these days, get a goddamn horror convention over there, would you? And have
we're working on it.
We'll do our best.
we'll get the network up as high as we can, and we'll see if they'll fund us.
Sounds good.
Nick, it's been awesome talking to you. A real pleasure, I must say. And you're a gentleman. And as I say, some of the stuff you've worked on are some films that we all hold dear to our hearts. And The Creature's not on it. I'm not trying to blow smoke up your ass. Just appreciating what you've done. That's all.
I appreciate it. If you fellas are ever over here in the States and you come to Vegas, come and see me. I've got a museum here to take you through.
Absolutely. Maybe we can go catch a Raiders game. How about that?
Don't you start.
Yeah, you have fun with that.
Hey!
Don't you start, Carl.
Okay, Nick, it's been awesome talking to you, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Nick.
We are out of here. Take care.